Congratulations to the Dak haters today. If Captain Thunder's here, it's a big day for you. He's actually a Canadian person that watches the broadcast and loves to send $2 Canadian super chats to say that Dak Prescott's greedy. More from Stephen Jones today. This time it's about the quarterback. Apparently, your new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, and quarterback coach Steve Shimko,
Shimko
have mentioned that they would like to select a quarterback in April to develop. Quote from Stephen, at the end of the day,
hot dog on the bun.
You know, I think one of our goals is to get a young quarterback in the draft. I don't know where that's going to be. That's why we gave a 4th-round pick for Trey. It seems like all the quarterbacks, even guys we have in the 4th round, go in the 1st. They always go much higher than what you think. And then talking about Cooper Rush, you know how much we think of Cooper. We just don't know what he's going to cost. When we're paying Dak what we're paying him, unfortunately, we do have to go cheap there. So there's your first off-season shot at how much you are paying your quarterback because you didn't get your quarterback signed in a timely fashion.
And you were about to pay a defensive tackle way more than you want to because you did the same thing with your quarterback and you didn't sign him when you were supposed to sign him. Now you're going to have to pay the overcharge price for this defensive tackle who – never mind.
Or while you take your time with him, guess who you're not signing? Because they said Micah Parsons is who they want to get done after they get the OSA stuff figured out, which means that you're not going to get him done this offseason, so you're going to wait too long on him. You're going to let multiple people reset the defensive player market this offseason. You'll get the next offseason. You'll get to reset that one.
I bet you guys are fun at parties.
You guys are silly. And what? Here's my question.
Gloom.
So if Cooper Rush costs too much money and Trey Lance costs too much money, which, by the way, I support. I'm a big fan of the Tom Moore quote, once upon a time. Offensive coordinator, I believe he was at the time in Indy.
Yep.
When
With
it was
Andrew,
like talking about
backup
quarterback, and it was like, if 18 goes down, we're effed. We don't work on effed. Like, we ain't worried about it. If we lose our quarterback, it's over. What round, if the Cowboys picked a quarterback, would you go, oh my God?
2.
It would have to be 2.
It depends on who they're taking to, though.
If they took Jackson Dart in the 2nd round, I think that'd be like, ooh, but I'd also be like, oh.
Because I think about the Eagles. Like, Carson Wentz was not, when they drafted Jalen Hurts at the end of the 2nd round, it was that they had a quarterback they had graded at a certain place that was available, and they're like, oh crap, like quarterbacks are incredibly important. Let's go ahead and do it.
Right.
It was not to replace Carson Wentz. It just happened that way.
And no one thought Jalen Hurts was going to be a future starter.
No.
I mean, no one. I mean, they thought he'd be a good, solid quarterback, probably a backup. Well, he's going to the backup Wentz, but no one saw this in Jalen Hurts.
If they took, let's say, 2nd round, if the Cowboys took a quarterback in the 2nd round, would your reaction be, you really could have picked someone to help your quarterback win? Or would your reaction be, quarterback is important, I get it?
That's a great call. Yeah.
The first one.
So you're not on board.
No, because
for that early.
You got Dak on a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
And the time is to win now. Especially if you're paying Dak, you're paying CD, you're getting ready to pay Micah, you're going to pay Osa, allegedly, at least what you say.
Maybe.
You want to pay Osa. You got all this money on these guys to win now. And you need to use your premium picks on guys that can help you win now to use it on a guy that you admittedly say, Dak's our quarterback, he's not going to play. It's too rich.
Yeah, and realistically, and I know we've talked about a little bit that Dak's starting to teeter the line of like being kind of injury prone a little bit, and he's coming off a major hamstring injury. But realistically, the quarterback you draft is a guy you're going to want to have to develop while not playing. This is a guy that you're going to have tools that you can kind of refine away from the field, and
which is basically impossible, as we know, because of 100%. Trey Lance.
Like, so, sorry,
maybe Trey Lance
just do that on their own.
Yeah,
but maybe just Trey Lance just wasn't that good.
But also, I was going to say, there are some guys in the draft when you kind of look at who actually succeeds in that kind of fashion, or guys that have had a lot of college experience that can step in. Jalen Hurts, I know he was a 2nd-round pick, but he still was kind of people were thought, I don't know how he could develop, but he had a lot of experience. We saw Brock Purdy, final pick in the draft, played a bunch of games at Iowa State, was able to step in and kind of be that backup who was called upon and then able to transcend to be their franchise quarterback. That's why guys like Dillon Gabriel, or maybe even a Quinn Ewers, or a guy who have played a lot in some big games and kind of have that experience, that need to be able to kind of work without actually being on the field. Those are kind of the guys I think you should target rather than taking a guy who might have a lot of upside in the 2nd round when you can get someone to help the current quarterback who you would like to be on the field, a la Tom Moore's philosophy. If Dak goes down, we're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, you named the guy that I would pick too. Guy who has started a ton of football that has all that. And like most colleges, Oregon's offense is weird, so the NFL is not the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm on board with if you're talking about later in a draft, give me the guy that's played a whole bunch of college football that what he can do is read a defense and throw the ball where it's supposed to go accurately.
Yeah.
Like if that guy's also a 6'4" guy that's a great athlete, well, he's a top 5 pick. But if he's a little too small and he doesn't have a giant arm, but he's a good quarterback, you can get those later.
Yeah.
At least that's the way it has gone.
What's later? What's later for that guy you're talking about?
So
Fourth round.
And fourth round is the answer to so many things in this draft, I think, and that pisses me off.
Did they have
if they trade back, maybe they can go get another 4th round pick in the draft. There's opportunity.
Yeah, they got 2 fifths. They can do some things to get up.
Quarterback gets weird in the draft because it tends to be like if you look at it, our friend Bob Sturm posted a graphic of it over like the last, I don't remember what it was, like 5 years, and just highlighted where they go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like first round and then very scattered because it's like this guy might be our starter. They all go bang. And then the draft just happens.
Yeah, when did Spencer Rattler go?
What's that?
When did Spencer Rattler go? Like it was like he was like the next best quarterback, and he went in the 5th round.
Was
I think.
he that late?
I think it was 5th or 6th.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
When you think about quarterback, like it's 32, like that's it. You know what I mean? Like there's not like, it's receiver. You need 32,
96
64.
starters.
Now, you need 96 of them, or running back, or whatever it may have. You have a bunch of them that you have to. So it's scattered so much because there's only a certain amount of jobs that are open.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the quarterback rotation on teams, it only comes open a certain amount of time. So if I'm getting a quarterback, if I have Patrick Mahomes, right?
Mm.
There's one quarterback spot that I'm not looking to fill for at least another 8
Right.
years. You know what I mean?
I might be looking for his backup in the 5th or 6th round one
and
year.
so that's why you see such the large
Right.
disparity between where the bunch goes up top and then when the rest of them fall. But for this team, we talk about the needs and the hole that they have on this football team. I'm not like backup quarterback to me is so far down the list.
Right.
yeah.
It's so far down the list. And to Tom Moore's point, like imagine going to get a backup quarterback, but you don't have the other holes filled, and you lose your starting quarterback. It don't matter who the hell he is, unless you can, unless Joe Montana is standing on the side that's going to come in and reincarnate in that, or Steve Young. It doesn't really make a difference. So you might want to address all of the necessary holes that need to be filled in the early rounds. And then, you should always throw a bone, I think, every single year at a quarterback. 6th round, 7th round.
Day 3.
Day 3 guys.
three,
Throw
all
a
the
bone
time.
or two, at those guys. If they work out, great. If they don't work out, it didn't really cost you anything. But to use valuable resources at a position where if you were the Eagles right now, because you don't have that many needs, you don't have that many holes. So if you wanted to look at something a little bit, up in the draft that you may not have to, you don't have that many holes to fill. But there's so many holes to fill on this football team right now that quarterback needs to be the last thing on their mind.
You know what's interesting too, and it better be interesting, is we talk about quarterbacks that have had a lot of experience, right? Like, yeah, maybe you can take one later in the draft that could kind of just chill and not need the on-field stuff to actually develop.
Kyle McCord at Syracuse, Dillon Gabriel at Oregon.
Well, I was going to say, you look at, because of COVID, a lot of these guys had an extra year. So a lot of these guys actually have a ton of experience. Yeah, Will Howard, Grant Mertz, Will Rogers, Cameron Rising, who's now 35 years old. Tyler Shuck, who with 3 different
I think
teams.
Cameron Rising's going back or he coming out? I think he's going back.
He might be going back too. I think he's seeking another medical.
Yeah, he's going back.
Cam, my guy, join me. Curtis Rourke. Like, there are a lot of guys at the back end of this draft where if you needed to kind of target a backup quarterback who might not be the highest ceiling developed guy, but has kind of a refined experience and can step in right away, you can find that in this draft.
You got Will Greer too. He's chilling.
Yeah, Will Greer's always chilling. Nooch!
Yeah,
Get to Nooch!
Nooch!
It's my guy.
We all silly like the mayor.